This is Tyler Mounce.
And Todd Bandahai.
And we are here with Ville Houttu, who is the CEO of Vincit, California. Vincit, for anyone who isn't aware, is a digital agency. The company originally started in Finland, but is now operating in California, for which Ville is the CEO. Ville, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So for anyone who isn't aware, or maybe isn't from Finland, like most of us, you're relatively new to California, right, in the marketplace, like only in the last post-IPO, right, in 2006. So IPO in 2016, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And then officially started in 16, 17 here in the U.S.?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your company, what it is you guys do, why someone would work with you.
Yeah. So like you said, we started the company in Finland almost 12 years ago. And we are a software UI, UX, and strategy agency. And we work with clients. So we have pretty well-known brands such as Logitech, Yamaha, KCRW, and an Irvine company. So usually well-known brands, and we help them to build their digital products.
Okay. So anything that they have, like, so doing all the UI, UX stuff, if they have apps, and then you actually do physical products as well?
Yes. So GE Healthcare is a good example of the physical products we help them to build. So the patient monitors that they sell over here in the US, they have our code in it.
Okay. And I'm excited today because having been in leadership now, in leadership roles and management roles with the company for a long time, you guys have a very, very unique structure and company culture, which I'm excited to dive into. But maybe just kind of go back to the beginning of your professional career, because my understanding is by trade you're an engineer. That's what you had studied.
Yes, I'm very much an engineer. So I did my master's in embedded systems, so coding and hardware combined, and I still geek about maths and physics, but since the beginning of my career, I started working more in managerial roles and in sales. So instead of, I think I like to move around and meet people and get along. So that's why that's been my career almost for the last 20 years now. And but yes, I think what was life-changing for me was I worked for a company called Frog Design, which is a design agency based in San Francisco, and I got to travel to California quite a bit. And after moving to Vincit, I took quite a lot from them when it comes to the design processes and design thinking, and service design in general, and it helped us to transform where we are now.
So fairly early on in your career, you had that experience of working with this San Francisco-based agency, and then that impacted a lot of how you conducted things because you went to Vincit pretty early on, right? When the company was very small.
I think around 50 employees, and today we are almost 500 employees. So wow. It's been growing nicely, but I think like where we are best known of is the work culture which we are.
Yeah. So explain a little bit what Vincit was like when you first got there, and what you were doing. And then kind of, because you obviously sort of rose through the ranks with the company structure as it was, and then that put you in a position to help with the restructure of the organization. So maybe kind of go to the early days of Vincit and what that was like.
And this was 2006, is that right? It's 12 years old?
Yeah. Or 2007, but it's a long time ago. I think everything is easy until you're 100 employees. It's not easy, but after you reach that point, you really have to start thinking about things. And at the time, we were operating in a pretty typical organization structure where we had management, then we had middle managers between the teams and the employees. And everything was running well, so we were growing, we were profitable, we had a good thing going on, and at least that's what we thought until they started conducting employee satisfaction surveys, and we found out the managers weren't happy at all.
The middle managers.
The middle managers, because they were programmers, designers, and that's what they wanted to do.
So they were unhappy because they couldn't do the actual job of programming.
Yeah,
or
they
designing?
were put into a position where they didn't have the tools to be successful, because they were, by education and by passion, they were not managers. They were not leaders. They were software professionals, and we also found out the teams under these bad managers weren't happy either. So we kind of had to do something, and
that's pretty much everybody was unhappy except for upper management.
yeah,
Good recipe.
yeah, quite typical, right?
Yeah.
So we had to do something, and we removed the middle management layer, and we removed the teams as well.
So real quick, before we go into what you guys did restructure, so my understanding is that, like, to that point, this is what, 2013?
Yeah.
So 2013 was the first year that the company had actually gone backwards from a revenue standpoint. Is that right?
Well, that's how it seems. We had a 9-month calendar year that year, so it started to get a little bit steadier. Yeah.
And why was the 9-month calendar? Because you shut down and did this restructure?
Not only because of that, we changed the fiscal year.
Okay, so it's a shorter calendar year, but either way, revenue wasn't growing the way it had in the early days, and so then you start to realize that what made you do employee satisfaction surveys?
It's that's a very good question, because the revenue hasn't been a goal or a driver for us, and we don't have our KPIs in the.
What was the driver?
So we have two KPIs that we focus on. One is employee satisfaction, and the other one is client satisfaction. And we believe that
the company-wide KPIs that you all operate by.
Yes.
And were those in place prior to 100 employees?
Yeah, no. So
okay.
that's when the whole puzzle started to come together. That's when we made the change, not focusing on the growth and profitability, but actually the growth enablers, the catalysts. So if you are successful in having a good employee satisfaction and client satisfaction, you'll actually be profitable and growing.
Mm-hmm.
So what did this process look like? Because rolling out employee satisfaction surveys, was it where your employees just chomping at the bit, like, finally I get to let these guys know what I think? Or, how did that process go?
I think it wasn't such a big surprise that you'd think that, they weren't happy, but we thought they would be happier than they actually were. At that time.
You suspected something was wrong, and then when you started to take a look under the hood, you realized the problem was a lot further along than you'd realized.
Yeah, exactly. Because usually when you conduct these surveys, you find a couple of items or a couple of points you should focus on and fix. But this was more sort of across the board problem, and
Well, it must have been a bad day, huh?
Not really. I think that was the best day in the history of our company.
Oh yeah. So then,
that's a good way to look at it.
so how did you get from employees are unhappy to let's wipe out middle management?
It's. We had to do something, and there were a couple of different options that we explored, but I think when you have to do something radical, you might as well go all the way through, and if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Instead of having these different structures in place, you will set up the structures based on the need. So if you have a project, you will set up a team and a team lead for that project. Or if you have a task force, you will set up a team for that task force and have leaders for that specifically. And so you don't have these imaginary boundaries limiting you to pick people and form dream teams.
And so how long did it take to implement?
A day. Yeah.
So you just called all the managers in there and said what?
Yeah, you know, it's we have to remember it's what they wanted to do and what they already did. So they were coding while being managers, and so
And they were still doing that as managers?
they were still doing it. So they had this additional burden of organizing team events and listening to the needs of the team and so on. Now they didn't have to do that anymore. It was offloaded. So I think it was a good thing
Who
for
took
them.
up that work that they were doing that was offloaded?
Yeah, so we created something called Leadership as a Service. It's a tool, online tool. You can think about it like as an e-commerce of services that the company provides to the employees.
Okay.
And with the services, I mean performance analysis or discussions, salary discussions, career coaching, and all types of coaching, but also not work-related services. So we have a group of providers, say healthcare, medical, daycare, and such in the system where people can log in and order these services. We link them to the service providers. We of course manage the cost and everything, so they don't have to worry about that. But by taking care of the needs of the employees, we actually help them to work better and perform better. And we don't have to have that middle manager in between, listening to the needs and reporting the needs to the management, who will then take care of the needs, having the sort of the middle link in between.
So there's kind of two pieces to that. You have this, you basically sort of outsource the middle management role that the function of the middle manager that you still wanted, you outsource to this leadership company, and that they function almost as sort of like a concierge management in a way, like kind of.
Yeah, that's very American way to think about it.
Guilty.
No. It's a good thing. Outsources to a management company. No, that's not what we did. The people manage themselves, and that's why it's called Leadership as a Service. So we serve our employees and providing all the service they need, but they have to come up with their needs, because people employees are individuals, so they have different needs. So if you think about the younger guys, they like to work out and look good. If you think about older people, they are planning for their exit from the company, and parents with kids, they'd like to sleep more, or they may have sleeping problems. You know, all these needs are individual, and you can't create a leadership model one size fits all, but you have to listen to the needs and provide the service. But they do all the management themselves. We just provide what they need.
How about project management? Like you're doing something for GE. How is the team actually of individual employees assembled to help complete that project?
Yeah, so the team gets assembled based on the wishes and dreams of the developers and also the client. So of course they have a requirement, and we need to match the experience and competence with that. But we listen to what the developers want to do, and what's best for what's the next step in their career. So whether these are the products or clients they want to work with, technologies they want to work with, and so on. So we take into account a lot of the pieces of the puzzle and put them together and make the match.
So ultimately, upper management has final say on what the team or the project team will look like.
Biz dev.
Biz
Yeah,
dev, okay.
Yeah.
So biz dev. So what? So you get a project with a customer, and you assess the needs, and you've decided that there needs to be 12 people on this team. Do they have the opportunity to the people within the company say, oh, that's a good fit for me, I want to be on that team, and then you kind of say, yeah, you should be on this team. It happens as a discussion.
Yeah, in a way, we use Slack.
Okay.
So we have a pre-sales channel in Slack where a biz dev comes with a project, and if you say it's a 12 people team, and this is what the client does, this is what in the project we will be doing, and these are some of the technologies will be used, and then people can comment, they can raise their hand, I'd like to be in that one, and so on. But it happens in Slack.
And how often is there a discrepancy between what biz dev thinks the team ought to look like and then the actual team members?
Not too often. You would think that would be the situation where I've seen it happening a lot. Sales sell what they think the client needs, but we can't really deliver, and that's why we always have a technical person going together with the biz dev, making sure we don't sell projects that we don't want to do, and we don't sell projects that we can't do. So those are the other two key parameters.
And then the people, the potential team members, they just generally, because of the culture you've built, do a good job of self-selecting who will best fit the project?
Yeah. Of course, we'll have the dialogue with the people who are interested in and making sure that the best skills get used. But this also links, like many things, links to many things. This links to the biz dev function. We always try to have a funnel of work more than we can deliver, and that's why we have the opportunity for our employees to actually choose and get to have a say on what they want to do and where do they want to work.
Do you think this organizational structure is the right way for businesses in general? Or is there something unique about your company that makes the application of it more straightforward?
I think it's applicable to any business. But having said that, I think what you first have to do is you have to create a culture of trust and transparency between the employees and management. So the employees have to trust the management, and the management will have to trust the employees to make very big decisions.
So how did you create that? That obviously wasn't the culture at Vincit pre-2013, correct?
Well, in a way, running a smaller company, people take responsibilities. So if you don't have coffee, you will walk into the store and buy a coffee and get it reimbursed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a 500 employee company, you expect the coffee to appear. And that's the typical situation. But that's when we started focusing on not creating policies or restrictions, but enabling people to do things like they would do themselves. Sort of if and a good example is just providing company credit cards, not to the management or sales, but to the whole company employees. And
you guys gave every employee a company credit card.
Yes. No, well, we don't force it, but I mean, all the people who want to get a credit card, they will, and that's a simple show of trust, and it actually helps the other company to operate.
Mm-hmm.
coming back to the coffee example, or
'Cause they just
pen and
get what they
pencils.
need immediately
Yeah,
instead of having to go through some process through somebody, a purchasing department or something like that, right?
yeah, because we don't have a purchasing department, so
Right.
it's they know how what they need to be able to produce and perform their work as best as possible.
And what would you say is the outcome associated with this change?
I think the
What happened between then and now?
well, what happened was so we were kind of forced to create this culture of optimizing the trust and transparency, and also agility. So we believe in continuous improvement, and so we have to earn the trust of our employees and our clients, not year by year or month by month, but month but every day. And that's why we work towards the goal. And this all got us to winning the best place to work in Finland for 3 years running.
Wow.
So 2014, 15, 16, and also in 2016 we were named the best place to work in whole Europe.
Wow.
So
Wow.
so that's
Jeez.
yeah, that's what we are known for in Europe. But over here we still have a little bit way to go.
And speaking of KPIs, so you shift to focusing purely on employee happiness and customer happiness, and then what happens to the other numbers that you would generally track, like revenue, profitability, things like that?
Well, yeah, that's what the CFO will look at and worry about.
But I mean, what happened with Vincit? Like, what happened following this change in 2013?
Oh yeah, you mean yeah, it's so we almost doubled year on year on the revenue since the change 2013.
Doubled
So
every year.
almost
Almost
almost doubled. So it's
every year since then.
yeah, if you look at
Wow.
the picture, it's the typical hockey stick that should happen, and it happened for us, and it was because we were successful on creating a good work culture, and usually the happier employees they produce better job results and making the clients happier.
So what else went into creating this transparency and trust culture? Like, what were some of the other things that you did that you implement? So you mentioned giving every employee a credit card. What were other changes you made?
Yeah, that's a simple one, and anyone can do it. But one of the things we did was we opened the salaries to the employees. So all the people in the company, they know what their colleague is making, and yeah, that was a difficult one. We were expecting a lot of people showing up and setting sort of yeah, a lot more turmoil.
Was there any
after
turmoil?
well, and we did clean up our calendars for 2 days to having these one-on-one discussions with all the people who weren't happy about their salary, you know, because suddenly you get to know, okay, this guy next to me makes this and this much than I do. But I think there were 1 or 2 people who came and to talk about their salary.
Out of all the employees, only 1 or 2 were upset and wanted to meet.
Yeah. So it's it was kind of surprising that the people in the company, they knew what's the level of their expertise and competence, and the salary differences and the salary steps were justified, and then that was a positive thing. Another positive thing that came out from this experiment or change was that now when we have salary discussions, it's very easy for the management to make the decision, because the only thing the employee has to do is to tell where and how sort of he is better than he or she is better than the colleague he is comparing himself to. So that's that made it a lot easier. And
So in terms of the expectations of the employee, they can see well, so and so makes X amount and I want to make that amount, and then they know the person and they can see the responsibilities and work quality of work that that person does, and so they know what they have to accomplish to make that amount of money. Sort of. So
Exactly.
there's a
Yeah.
transparency in terms of expectations.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Are there any differences, culturally speaking, between Finland and the U.S. that you think may cause problems associated with how you're structured and how your business is run and the culture of your company?
Um, you would think so, but we haven't. When I moved here, and we are now 30 employees, so we've been
In
operational
the U.S.?
in the U.S. So we've been operational here for 2 years, and we are now 30 employees, and I haven't changed anything from Finland, and I think a lot of the people in the team, which is great by the way, they've taken it with a lot of gratitude and as a positive thing. Of course, you can't hire people who need a lot of supervision, need hierarchy, strict management rules. You can't hire, but when you hire the right people, I don't really think you have to change much.
And so this culture that you've created is that something that is drawing more people to want to come to work for Vincit? Like outside people recognize what you guys you're doing?
I sure hope so. So, but I think, yeah.
I mean, how is that like? Because obviously, so the first 2 years going from starting to 30 employees here, how is the like it worked with attracting talent and recruiting and things like that?
Yeah, I have to say we were extremely lucky on getting very good develop or employees in the beginning, and but and we didn't have to. We have to remember we didn't have a name over here, so we did it by meeting a lot. We did a lot of outreach in the university, UCI, different colleges.
You're based right here in
colleges,
Orange County in the U.S.?
Yes, yes. We have two locations, Palo Alto and Irvine.
Okay.
The people are over here, but yeah, it's been helping a lot. You know, so this year we've won 4 different awards for our workplace and work culture. We've won 5 different awards for our work for different clients, and I've been named as the entrepreneur of the year.
Wow.
In Irvine. So all this you can say awareness or promotion. It's been helping a lot. So we interview new people daily.
Wow. So there is a lot of people that want to come work for
Absolutely.
you at this point.
Yeah, we hire 1 or 2 people each month, and we interview on average 2 or 3 employees or candidates every week.
Okay. Imagine there's someone listening who senses the same kind of thing going on at their company. What sort of words of advice would you have for implementation when if someone was to go about trying to restructure or change the culture within their company of one that's the traditional hierarchical structure versus one that has the trust and transparency and is more self-governed like yours is?
Yeah, I think you have to remember there's the goal and having a lean and self-managing organization, but you have to get there step by step and create a sort of path to that towards that goal and incremental steps and piloting. I think one of the things could be, you know, trying the credit card thing. That's an easy thing to implement, or start listening more what the employees have to say.
Do you have a format or a way that you like to do employee satisfaction surveys?
Yes, we do.
Can you tell us a little more about that?
Well, first of all, they are anonymous unless they want to add their names, and it's simple. We all get so many surveys every day, and the constant challenge is how do you get the people to answer the surveys.
Yeah.
So keep it short, keep it brief, and tap on to the items that you want to know, and keep varying, keep changing the questions and the points, and of course the most important thing is to take actionable goals and set a time frame.
So how often would you do these surveys, and how many questions would they be? Like, how long would it take the employees?
Yeah, we have we do it bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly.
Yeah,
And is there an app that you use for this?
we actually use just Google Forms.
Google Forms, okay.
Yeah.
Google Forms, okay.
And
There's a way to remain anonymous when completing a Google form?
yes.
Okay.
And another tool that I could mention in our lobby, when you walk out, exit from our office, there's a tool called Happy or Not.
Is that the smiley face, sad face button, or like
Exactly.
you just touch the button?
Yeah. So you can keep changing different questions, and you actually get an access to a BI tool, and
That's cool.
and you'll get simple things that could be there, like was the AC working today? Was the air good in the office today? Air temperature, things like that, or test where did you have a good work day? So you can.
Who's responsible for implementing these types of things? Is there some dude in Finland that's defining all the questions biweekly, and then you simply are able to utilize those tools here in the United States?
No. It's we come up with a lot of ideas. So we have a group of people who naturally generate more ideas. The key is to
They're developers?
well, developers. I have some ideas every now and then, and then we have people operations. And then we have a business team.
Okay.
And usually, like the marketing promotion related ideas come from these teams, and people operations related ideas come from the people operations, and so on. But the quick implementation is the key. So
Meaning in response to the survey.
In response to the survey, or if you have an idea, say that's why we can't have anyone in Finland implementing what we use here, because they don't understand the culture and they don't know what we need to know. So if we need to, if we've been having problems with the office temperature, for example, we have to keep changing the question daily or even faster. So it has to be a quick implementation. Or say if we decide that we need a new biz dev here or tool, which we actually do now. So we're opening 2 positions for biz devs. When we make the decisions, we will open the positions tomorrow, not a week from now or a month from now. So that's sort of the speed you have to be running in today's world overall.
And that is to show to your team that you're willing to act on if they provide information with you, you're going to take action on it.
Absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's part of the trust thing. Is they trust that if they voice something to you, like it'll actually be listened to and then not just listened to but implemented.
Their answers matter. Like it's worth their time. Right?
Coming back to the point how difficult it is to get them to answer any surveys. It's you have to react to whatever they are saying. Yeah. So.
One more question, because one of the things, because it seems like you mentioned like building this culture takes incremental changes, kind of adding 1 or 2 steps to it at a time. But it sounds like in 2013, you guys kind of made like a wholesale shift into this. Are you saying that you would do it differently again and do it more incrementally, or sorry, I just explain that to me.
Yeah, that's a good point. At that point, we were only a smaller company, I'm referring to more established businesses who we have, in general, we have in Irvine or Orange County, bigger companies. And if you've been running in the same model for 15 years, you will have to make incremental changes
Okay.
to whatever it is. And you have to be prepared for the storm that might come out, because if you haven't been conducting these surveys, if you haven't been letting the employees to affect their work environment entirely, or even manage themselves, the change may come with some surprises, or most likely it will.
Mm-hmm.
Is there it seems to me there'd be an element of sort of like it would weed out certain types of people from the culture, because you think again, bringing my my perspective of how a lot of American companies are run, there's a lot of employees that only operate under the like the pushing and encouragement of a manager.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have you have to be a lot more of a self-starter and have a lot, because you have a lot more autonomy in a model like this. And there's people who maybe naturally won't be drawn to a culture like that. Have you seen that at all, where people?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a good point. Thanks for bringing it out, because a lot of the people who've joined us and have had a career in another company have several years exposure to the typical culture. It's very difficult to take this responsibility for suddenly getting the full ownership of your work, and it's not easy. It's and that's why I think you have to educate and train your employees towards that. But having said that, I don't believe that you would have to sort of split people into categories. These people can do it, these can't. I think everybody can, but it just takes a little bit time to get there.
Thinking more in terms of your career, the lessons you've learned, and you think about, obviously there's a lot of people in business that are doing very, very different things, whether that's manufacturing or services. What would be something that you've learned over the course of your career that you've kind of distilled out as sort of an operating principle that you think translates across industries?
I think the more you can implement freedom rather than policies or restrictions, that applies to all. And the more you are there as a leader. So we've been talking about transparency, but like one step is you actually being there in person in the middle of the room. So you don't have your corner office, or which the VPs or CEOs usually have, and instead you have your whatever standing desk. I have a standing desk, but desk.
It must be a tall desk.
It's a pretty tall desk. It's in the middle of the open space. So when people are walking by, they can stop by and ask questions, and not having to book a time, just to speak to me.
Switching to the muzzle load round, these are some shorter format questions just in general for you personally. What have you accomplished in your business that you're most proud of?
I think one thing is what I'm proud of is we've been successful here and being able to grow here without losing integrity. So that's my goal, because I believe that success without integrity is actually a failure. I think, and that's how I want to run and build the company. So for one thing, that's what I'm proud of.
If you could go back in time, what would you tell a younger version of yourself?
Oh, okay. You mean not the engineer or the sales guy?
Either. Maybe both.
Okay, I'll say to the sales guy, the the more you're trying not to sell, the more you're selling.
Hmm.
Oh, that's
So
interesting.
yeah, because the more authentic, the more honest, the more um, interesting you are. I think the more you're selling, not just by being salesy.
Hmm.
And what would you tell the engineer?
Oh, stick to the engineering.
Oh, that's good.
What are you reading, listening to, or subscribed to currently for growth and development?
Yeah, I have three different categories. I usually read the books my wife has read first, but yeah, I have three categories. Lately, I've been reading. I actually listen to my books
Okay.
because yeah, I don't
On any particular platform, on just Audible?
Audible
Okay.
mostly. Yeah, so because I'm a triathlete, so I train quite a lot and many hours. So during the training sessions, you have a good opportunity to listen to the books. So three categories. I've been lately listening to American politics and history quite a bit just to understand where the country comes from and the total different system that we
Hmm.
have in Europe. And yeah, the other category.
Sorry, with that, has that been helpful as
Absolutely,
you
yeah,
navigate the cultural climate here, understanding more of the history? Has that helped you with that?
absolutely,
Huh.
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
have any examples of that or no?
Well, I think there are many, but understanding the current situation in the administration, I think it's I'm starting to understand it. I think a lot of Europeans don't, and it's not made easy to understand, but it's and how I think how many changes the individuals can make, how much power do they have, and why. I think that's been very interesting.
Huh.
But of course, I listen to a lot of business books as well, psychology mostly. So lately, the two books that I've actually read the other, but I listened to Brené Brown.
Uh-huh.
Do you know
Well, I'm
the
sorry, what was that?
Brene Brown.
Brené Brown?
Which one? Daring Greatly?
Yeah, no, I listened to the Dare to Lead.
Dare to Lead. Okay.
Yeah, which is the latter, and Mike Robbins, Bring Your Whole Self to Work.
Okay.
That's what I read, and but I also I'm very interested in pro athletes, because they live the startup life without being in a startup, but they have the pressure of being successful. They train so hard, and they suffer the pain a founder, entrepreneur, startup owner has every day. So good pro athlete books. The latest I listened was Peter Northug, Norwegian skier, and of course Zlatan Ibrahimovic. So they both have very good books. I can recommend.
Mm. What habits or routines do you have to stay on top of your game?
Yeah, sports obviously. So sports help me to keep the balance, and nowadays when you have a laptop, you have your cell phone, you have your work all the time, things happening. When you jump on your bike and ride for 100 miles, you have a lot of time to think, not only listen to the books, but think, and that's how I get friends moving to a new country and location. I have a lot of friends who are not interested in my business. They don't actually, they couldn't care less, but they're interested in knowing me. And again, when we ride together several hours, that's how you get to know a lot of people. And
You can actually have a long conversation with somebody while you're riding next to them.
yeah,
It's not like too windy or.
oh no. Yeah, so we ride elbow to elbow. So it's but yeah, that's cycling. But yeah, I also have swim and run. So yeah, that's one of the things. But of course, like I have to give my thanks to my wife who who've made all this possible, because otherwise I couldn't really work and be the startup runner all the time. So yeah, the kids are happy and the wife is happy, so I'm very grateful for that.
Well, thanks so much for sharing more about your background and your story. There's definitely some cool and probably pretty mind-blowing stuff for a lot of people that are listening to this. So
Yeah.
if there was anyone listening and you wanted to point them somewhere that they could follow up, where would you want them to go? Websites or social media handles?
Yeah, it's www.vincit.com, so vincit.com, and you can find us from Facebook, Vincit California, and also LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. So
Awesome. Well, thanks again,
Thank you.
Ville.
thank you. Thanks so much.